up at 5:15.
All right, thank you, Marla. 5:01 is your time. Meth use continues to be a huge problem for law enforcement all across the Grand Strand and PD, and that means that meth labs are also a problem, but police are starting to bust a lot of them.
Yeah, Katrina Helmer joins us live from the Myrtle Beach Police Department. And Katrina, an educated police force, that's a big reason for the successes we're seeing, isn't it?
It really is. Leaders tell me that as more officers are being trained to detect and dismantle these meth labs, that's adding to the increase, especially when it comes to portable meth labs like this one, which were harder to detect before. But one of the most recent examples is going to be a lab that was busted last week. Actually, as officers were investigating an armed robbery, the officers detected a very strong chemical smell, and because of their very important training, that actually led to a search and then finding chemicals that are used to make meth. Now, I want to show you the pictures of these two suspects. These two men are in jail right now accused of making and selling the meth. Law enforcement leaders tell me typically drugs tend to start out west, then make their way north, then finally trickle down south, and that's what we're seeing, a consistent uptick in meth busts in South Carolina and our nearby counties. According to SLED agents, there have been at least 46 meth lab busts in just Horry County since tracking started in 2011. Over the past few years, increasing education among the public and law enforcement has definitely helped in finding and shutting down these labs before it's too late, especially when it comes to portable labs, as those are making it harder to track down because of how easily they can be concealed and moved.
We recognize that how volatile this drug is, both in the use of the drug and then also in the labs themselves, and what danger they propose to the community. With that being said, we recognize that there was a need for a highly trained officers to address those situations. So that's why this group was created, so those officers knew how to enforce the laws and then also how to address the labs themselves.
Now these labs, whether they're mobile or not, they're very flammable, hazardous, and can be very deadly. And according to the CDC, drug-induced deaths in South Carolina, the rate actually exceeds the national average. Reporting live in Myrtle Beach, Katrina Helmer, WMBF News.
All right, thank you, Katrina. And just yesterday, Myrtle Beach police were on the scene of a possible meth lab on 44th Avenue North. Crews from the police department and Myrtle Beach Fire blocked the road between Little River Road and Camellia Drive just before 4 in the afternoon. We've made calls for more information, and we'll bring you those updates as they come in. A man has been arrested after a strong armed robbery at a mobile gas station. Horry County Police went to that station on Highway 17 and Inlet Square Drive just after 6 last night. The man was arrested at the scene. Stick with us for more updates on air and online. And 2 men are on the loose this morning following a robbery at a Dollar General in Greensea. Horry County Police say it happened at the store on Highway 9 Friday night. Employees told officers that the 2 men came into the store waving a gray semi-automatic pistol and demanding money. The men were all wearing black and were able to get away with some cash. No one was hurt. Call police if you know anything about this robbery.
One person has been arrested after several gunshots were fired near a home in Myrtle Beach. A woman told police that she went to the window after hearing those shots, saw a white truck that could have belonged to the husband of someone inside the home or inside the truck there. The total of 3 shots were heard by witnesses. Officers searched the area but didn't find any shell casings or damage to the home. A suspect tied to that case is being held in the Myrtle Beach jail, but the name and the charges have yet to be released. The fight to keep drunk drivers off our roads heads to Columbia as police, prosecutors, and victims advocates are now asking state lawmakers to rework a certain part of our state's DUI law. The group says that video requirements in patrol cars are making it actually harder to successfully prosecute these cases. They claim many cases are being tossed out because of problems with the video machines, such as the signal temporarily going out in the patrol cars. South Carolina had 335 drunk driving deaths in 2013. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll have a live report on that hearing from Columbia. Also today, the Criminal Domestic Violence Task Force will meet for the first time. Governor Nikki Haley created that last Thursday. Mrs. Haley will chair the meeting starting at 10 o'clock this morning. Meetings are open to the public. That task force will be made up of 3 groups. They'll focus on community outreach along with victim and offender services. South Carolina still ranking number 2 in the country for the number of women killed in domestic violence-related crimes.
Well, speaking of domestic violence in the PD, South Florence High School is raising awareness for Teen Dating Violence Month. Members of the school's National Honor Society are asking the faculty, staff, and students to wear orange today to honor victims. According to teendvmonth.org, 1 in 3 teens will experience some form of abuse in their dating relationships. Well, happening today, the family of 2 people investigators say died of carbon monoxide poisoning are speaking out. Relatives of Daryl and Shirley Jenkins will be talking in Charlotte this morning about the lawsuit they just filed. Back in April of 2013, the couple died at a Best Western in Boone just less than 2 months after an 11-year-old died in the same room. Investigators found that problems with a pool heater and its ventilation system caused all 3 deaths.
Okay, what if the TV you're watching this on right now could hear your every conversation?
Well, that's what's happening with some smart TVs from Samsung. Raycom News Network reporter Ben Katko has more.
It's been a long day at the office. You sit down, flip on the TV, catch your favorite show, maybe talk about that day at the office. But your significant other might not be the only one listening.
I don't think it's very cool. I don't think they should be doing that.
The Samsung Smart TV is built with a voice recognition feature. Pretty neat, right? Well, perhaps it's also slightly invasive.
I want my home to be private. I don't want people selling my information.
The movies you watch, the conversations you have, the shows you like, and your TV web browser history may be captured.
So I just suggest that people move slow on these kind of things and think about the consequences of having all this information put out there about themselves.
Reports say the TV can record and send your conversations and information to third parties.
I don't think I would want them to sell what I say in my home, in my private household, to other people. That's my own private business.
The internet-connected technology for home devices is not a new thing. Think in-home security cameras. If you don't enable the feature, Samsung says they may still collect some information, but not your spoken word. You can disable it altogether in the settings menu, but the company warns you may not be able to use all the voice recognition features if you do it.
Is a hacker going to break into your TV to listen to you? Probably not. But just understand that it's possible. I mean, the only real way really to defeat this feature outside of not using the TV is to not connect it to the internet.
Well, hackers aren't the only ones looking at your online data. The government is collecting information on you from social media sites. The United States leads the way when it comes to requests for information on Twitter users. But according to Twitter's transparency report, those requests are usually in connection with criminal investigations. The information isn't always granted. In fact, it isn't given in many cases. The network saw a 40% increase in government requests for data over the last 6 months of 2014. The U.S. government was responsible for 56% of all requests, a total of 1,622, which is actually down from last year. And in 80% of those requests, information was provided. Turkey actually made the second most requests behind the U.S. David?
All right, Mandy, thank you for that. Happening right now, we're talking about closures along Highway 707 that could slow you down this morning. It's all part of that Highway 31 extension project. The closures between Leonard and Moss Creek are on the west side. It's expected to wrap up about 6 o'clock this morning. But your afternoon commute will also be impacted. Crews will close SC 31 Enterprise Road intersection for about an hour starting at 1 o'clock. Jenna will give you a complete update on more traffic conditions. That's coming your way at 5:30. And new video shows a major accident on the New Jersey Turnpike. Take a look at this. It blocked all southbound lanes of traffic last night. At last check, 1 person was killed. Dozens of others were injured. Troopers say 4 tractor trailers, a bus, 2 box trucks, and at least 15 other cars were involved in the crash. And officials say the cause of the accident, though still under investigation, they do believe a mix of rain and snow along with below freezing temperatures were certainly a factor.
A candlelight vigil and prayer service was held for Bobby Christina Brown in Atlanta last night. A large crowd came out with flashlights, cell phones, and cameras. Whitney Houston's daughter has been in a medically induced coma since she was found face down in the bathtub of her Georgia home last month. Several speakers also offered their sympathy to Bobby Brown and grandmother Sissy Houston. If you have questions about end-of-life issues, there's a free legal clinic being held tonight that can help. It's happening at the Chapin Memorial Library in Myrtle Beach starting at 6:30. That's on 14th Avenue North. Topics will include health care, power of attorney, living wills, DNR orders, funeral planning, and cremation. There will be a 45-minute presentation followed by a question and answer session. Meanwhile, negotiations are underway to try and keep the flea market in Myrtle Beach open. The company currently leasing that space announced that it lost its lease and intends to close at the end of the month. But real estate agent Jason Ellis says if the flea market does stick around, it will be smaller. He also tells us negotiations are confidential and can't say who might be taking over. Starting Wednesday, that flea market will be open every day from 10 until 5.
A 2-month-old is murdered, and this morning police in the community in disbelief over the person who could be responsible for the killing. The shocking details still ahead.
And you're waking up to rain in the PD. I'll let you know how long these showers will stick around and where they're headed next in your First Alert forecast.